I have watched a lot of YouTube videos lately, and so many about how humans treat each other. And like we all have, so many fascinating videos and difficult to watch videos, and the Karen videos and the police videos and the videos where people go and give money to people because they were kind and helpful, and there's just an infinite amount, and political videos lately, now that the November elections are coming up, there's an infinite amount of human relation videos on YouTube, and information about understanding yourself and your mental health, and your possible mental diagnoses, and relationship videos, how to deal with relationships, how to communicate with people, narcissism videos. I've watched a ton of videos, even stand-up comedy videos. There's so many people online sharing just an infinite amount of information. And so, I put a lot of videos up some years ago, and then I just took some time off and just kind of went into a shell. But I've been, not a shell, I just took some time off to do some research and just back up out of the world for a little while. But I have my reasons, and that can be another story. But so as I'm coming back in to reconnect with you, the thought occurs to me, with all this out there, what do I have to share? What difference can I possibly make? And then I said, every human being has a different story, has a different way of perceiving and a different way of articulating. And so each one of us is a part of the whole web of everything that's happening today. And I've been studying humans and human relations and the way we treat each other, especially, for over 40 years now. You can see this bookshelf right here. These are some of the books, so a few of my favorite books, but also a bunch of books I haven't read yet. I've actually read thousands of books. And the thing is, people will say, I've heard before anyway, oh, well, she read a bunch of books, but really life is about, personal experience. What I find is, I started reading when I was young. I didn't like what they were teaching me in school. But when I got interested, when I found a book that I was very interested in when I was just between my freshman and sophomore year in high school, I realized, before that I thought, oh, I must be stupid because I fall asleep when I'm reading a book. I don't really like reading. But it was just that the things that I was supposed to read in public school didn't interest me. It wasn't interesting. And I found out actually years later, when I was doing some volunteer work at the Boys and Girls Club, I was helping some of the young people with their homework. And what they were assigned to read was ridiculous. It wasn't interesting. It was a bunch of jumbled, stupid facts and then questions that I, as an adult, like in my 50s, didn't know the answers to. It was not geared towards having a student feel empowered and loving reading and loving the assignments. I couldn't. It was boring. It was stupid. I couldn't believe what these children who were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 were being assigned to read, that had no interesting content, no empowering content, nothing in it that would have you go, oh gosh, I love reading. Absolutely not. So when I was, like I said, between my freshman and sophomore year in high school, and I found this book that I just loved, I just happened to find it because my dad went to the library for some reason, and I was sitting there waiting, and this book stood out to me. I checked it out. It was I'm Okay, You're Okay. I loved it. I read it. I did a book report on it. And ever since I found that book led me to other books, and I've read thousands and thousands. I used to leave the library with stacks of books in my arms, and then I would go home, and it was almost like I was just hungry, hungry, hungry for all this information, and also validation. Some of these authors on the for information, one of the authors could have done these scientific studies for 30, 40 years, and I get to read that information within a week or a couple weeks. So that's the information piece that I was excited about. But the validation piece was some of these authors who really had something to say, empowering information. That was very validating for me to read something and think, I've thought that. This is good information for me. I can use this. Okay, now when somebody says, oh, so she's read a bunch of books, so it's all book learning and not experience. What I have found is that when you read a book, especially as a young person, you're immersed in the author's perspective. And let's say it takes you 5 days or a week or 2 weeks to read that book. It's like you're entering a different world of the point of view of that author. And once you do that, you take that perspective and that information, and then you go out to the world and your view becomes shifted. You notice different things. So you're definitely having a personal experience, but it's not just based on the small world that you are living in. It's got this added, you now have from reading the book this added ability to shift your attention and see things that you didn't see before. And it changes your personal experience. And you can then react to things differently and notice things differently and have different conversations. So I've now been doing workshops and talking to people and empowering young people, and with many, many diverse groups for over 40 years now. And because of that, I said, you know what? And I talk to myself and my thoughts, and I say, Tia, even though whatever you have to say might not make a difference, I have to tell myself, maybe it'll make a difference to one person. And if it makes a difference to one person, it's worth doing it. You know, it's not like it's going to be the best thing in the world and it's going to save the world or save anybody. That's not what it is. It's just, I've been doing this work for so long that I don't want to waste it. You know, I feel like it's just time for me to reconnect with the world and give my point of view. It's just one more point of view. It's not the best. It's not the only way. It's just one more point of view. And I feel almost obligated after all the work I've done to just put it out there for anybody who could possibly be interested. So today's video, I would like to talk about something that I have noticed over the years, which is a way of being that is people who cause drama. And this little simple piece of information I'm giving you now can help you to notice who the drama causers are, whether it be in your place of business, whether you own the business, or whether you are somebody who's working there. So this is something I've been teaching for probably maybe 30 years now. And it can be very helpful to you, because what I have seen is oftentimes you're in an environment and there's someone there who is causing drama, but they're doing it at a subtle level so nobody else can see. Our people don't really recognize it because they're not used to noticing it at a subtle level. But it causes so much drama. But then the person who's doing it is really good at telling a story about how somebody else is at fault, that they were not the person causing the drama. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share something with you that's going to allow you to notice it on a very subtle level. And then I'm going to share with you ways that you can get where you want to be in your life. And when I say that, that sentence itself is a big piece of what I have been doing in my work, is talking to people about where you are, where you want to be, and how to get there. And I think a huge piece in all of that is navigating the human communication pitfalls and bumping into humans and having to work with humans, and that if you can navigate that kind of human landscape with all the rocks and boulders and obstacles and possible getting your strings pulled and falling down and having to get back up, if you can kind of step back and see it beforehand, you can make some better decisions as you're moving through that landscape, getting yourself to where you want to be in the world. So these people that cause drama, there are 4 ways that people drain other people's energy. We'll look at it like energy. This is how you can notice it on a subtle level. And the 4 ways are wrong, ignore, poor me, and threat. Okay, 4 ways, just 4. I've been sharing this for over 30 years, and in all this time, I have not found anything that does not fit into one of these 4 categories. So it's simple, and it's something you can remember and hold inside you. And then when you see somebody doing it, you can point it out silently in your own head so you recognize it so you won't get pulled into it. Okay, so these 4 ways, actually, I got from a book from James Redfield over, I guess it was around 30 years ago, called The Celestine Prophecy. And it's just a fictional story about this guy who goes down to Mexico to look for this ancient lost manuscript. And there's a chapter 3 or 4 is called The Struggle for Power. Now, this struggle for power, anybody can recognize it. I can talk to 8-year-old kids, 2nd grade kids, 1st grade kids, and talk to them about this, and they'll go, yeah, I see that, I know that. They get it. And kids get it because they're a vulnerable population that gets their energy. I go like this because you'll see at the end that this isn't really real. It's just something we make up in our heads and we do to each other. But we don't have to play this game. But kids see it, kids recognize it, because kids are likely to be treated in a way that they don't matter, they don't have any power, they get yelled at, they get told what to do, they even get hit. And so kids like to understand this empowering information so they can see it for what it is and at least understand that it's not their fault. And this is the same thing that you can do. Okay, so the control dramas from this book, I changed what they were called. In the book, it was called Interrogator, Intimidator, Aloof, and Poor Me. But I changed it to Wrong, Ignore, Poor Me, and Threat, which is the same things in a slightly different order with different words so anybody can remember it. Okay, so also it's an acronym. I'm kind of the queen of acronyms. I've been for years, but it's WIPT. Wrong, Ignore, Poor Me, and Threat. Okay, so whipped. So when you get your energy drained, you feel whipped. Okay, so I usually start off teaching this with asking kids or anybody else I'm teaching it to, have you ever met someone and within the first 30 seconds of meeting them, you just feel kind of drained and you feel like you want to walk off and kind of lift yourself back up again after being around that person? And everybody's like, yeah, I know somebody like that, like my dad, or, my aunt, or my teacher, or, my uncle, whoever, my friend, there's always someone who, everybody knows at least a person who is an energy draining person. Those are the words I'm using, and you'll understand what exactly that means in a moment, but an energy draining person. So then I say, have you ever met somebody and within that same 30 seconds to a minute of time, you just feel lighter and bigger and good about yourself. And you just feel like, hey, wow, hey, you want to be friends? You just really like that person. You just feel good. Okay, and then this is what I say in my talks that I've been saying for 30 years. So because I learned this after I had already been doing empowering work for around 10 years. So I say, imagine you're in a grocery store 6 months after you met somebody And you see that first person who drains your energy, and you you don't even remember where you met them, where you saw them before, but you kind of hide. You stare over there, and you kind of hide down the aisle, and you go, "Oh, I don't remember where I know that person from, but I do remember that I didn't feel good around them." So you're just going to kind of avoid them and go the other direction. And then that second person who you met who uplifted your energy and you felt really good, you still don't really remember where exactly you talked to them before, but you do remember that good feeling you got from them. And instead of hiding behind the aisle, you feel confident to walk right up to them and say, "Hey, where do I know you from? I know I've met you before," because you remember the feeling you got from them. So you're not afraid to walk up and say something, and you don't want to stay behind the aisle to protect yourself from feeling that crappy feeling again. And this same thing works in environments. You might go into a store and you can just feel there's a vibe, there's an energy in the store where maybe the people don't get along and they're arguing with each other and they kind of take it out on the customers and you just feel crappy. And after you go in there once, you don't ever want to go back to that store again. You go into a different store and they're like, "Hi, how you doing? How may I help you?" And you have a nice conversation with them and you can feel their energy and you can feel them looking you in the eye and being friendly and being helpful and, "Hey, have a nice day," and you have a nice conversation. And that's the store that magnetically pulls you back to go back there and shop there again because you felt good. And you're looking forward to seeing the people there again because you felt good in talking to them. And so places of businesses have an energetic environment, and that energetic environment can be an uplifting one that feels good, and when you think of it, you're pulled to go back there and spend more time there. Or the energetic environment could be one that drains your energy, that you don't feel good, and you, even though you might want something and it's close to your home and they have that thing you need, you're like, "I don't want to go back there because I just felt so crappy and I just pretty sure I'm probably going to feel crappy again," or you go back there and you get it and try to get out as soon as possible. So you're not going to do any extra shopping. You're not going to hang out. You're not really going to talk to anybody. You're going to get in and out, just get your thing you need and get out. So there are environments that have energetics to them, and there are people that have energetics to them. And there are days that some people just have an off day and, and they might say, "Hey, I had a bad day, so don't really talk to me today." But some people have a bad day every day, and you just know better because on a consistent basis, they have showed you that it's just not really emotionally safe to be in their space. It's not really fun to be in their space. It's draining to be in their space. And you're always going to hear something from them that makes you feel like crap, whether it's they're complaining about feeling bad or they're making you wrong for something. So let me go into the 4 ways that people can drain each other's energy. So number 1, wrong. WIPT, remember? Wrong. Pointing out something that's wrong about you. Like, "Why is your hair like that?" Or, oh, why do you think that? Or, oh, those shoes are stupid. Or, "Oh, you bought that at Walmart? Oh, only poor people shop at Walmart." This making wrong is, they can make you wrong for your hair or your teeth or your shoes or your ideas or how you're feeling or anything. They're just something you do. They're always going to find something wrong. And it's because this is the control drama they picked up as children in order to get attention, right? So the environment that they grew up in taught them that they had to do a particular control drama in order to get attention. Okay, so people who have negative control dramas, it's because that was the only way they got attention when they were kids. That was what they learned to do, and over time, they just started believing that's who they are. That was their racket. It's called a racket when somebody does some particular thing in order to get something. That's their racket. Okay, so that's their control drama. Okay, so there's wrong, because if somebody can make you wrong, then you start thinking, oh, you need to do something differently in order to please them, and that's how they can get your energy from you, get your attention. It's also, they get to feel like they're somehow better than you if they are the authority on everything right and wrong with you, right? So if if they can convince you to see them as the authority, then they can get your attention and energy. All right, so that's wrong. All right, then ignore. Ignore is you're talking to someone and they're, oh no, it's just so boring, or looking at their watch, or just not giving you any attention. Okay, so that's their way to take your energy, by not giving you any attention. And there's another thing about ignore. If there's something going on in the relationship that they need to talk about, but they ignore it and they don't talk about it, that can drain the energy in a relationship. And it can cause walls and people making up stuff and not talking about it, not communicating about it. And again, it's draining for the relationship to not give attention to not just the person, but anything in the relationship that's going on that needs to be given attention to. Okay, so that's ignore. So we got wrong, ignore. Third one is poor me. Poor me is when someone plays the victim. When you could do something nice for them, like buy them flowers, and their response would be, oh, these flowers remind me of my grandmother's grave. How could you be so insensitive? So here you did something nice and thoughtful for them, and they turned it into you did something bad. So that's the poor me victim mentality. And people who are perpetrators, actually doing wrong to you, doing wrong, hurting you, saying negative emotional things, making you wrong, ignoring you, can actually pretend that they're the victim in the story. So poor me is the third one. And I just want to mention here that all of these controlled dramas, they are behaviors. They are ways of being. It's not the truth of the person. It's not that this person is a poor me, this person is a wrong, this person is a wrong. It's just something they tend to do often in order to get attention. It's a particular behavior, and some people are steeped in it consistently. Okay, so wrong, ignore, poor me, and the last one is threat. Now, threat obviously can be like, hey, I'm going to kick your butt. It could be a physical, violent threat, but it can also be a threat couched in sweet language, like, oh, by the way, if you don't get that paper typed by 4, you're fired. Right? So there's a threat, implied threat, but it's said as if it's not a threat. It's like a covered up, masked threat. Okay, so that's it. Wrong, ignore, poor me, threat. 4 simple things that people can do to drain your energy. Now I'm sharing these with you because in places of work or families or any environment that people show up to consistently, people use these, and in the beginning, they very sneakily do these, and then when you react to them, they will then tell a story about how you're attacking them, how you hurt them, how you should be nicer to them, even though they use these control dramas against you. So if you see it, I'm going to give you some responses, ways to be, and why these ways to be work around people who do these things. Now, before I give you those responses, I want to tell you that this whole control, drama, energy thing, it's a game that's played, but it's not really real. And what that means is people are making stuff up in their heads. So look, I think it was Deepak Chopra who said, someone can give you a compliment. Yeah, and the seven spiritual laws of success. This is in there. And that's a great book to read, by the way. Someone can give you a compliment, and you don't have to be uplifted by it. Just because it's coming from outside of you doesn't mean that it's like, oh, that's so great. Oh, I feel so good. It's kind of like the stock market, right? When the stock market goes up, you go, yay. And when the stock market goes down, you go, whoa. And so you're going up and down all the time, when really you could just wait, let it be. This is what is for now, but I don't have to go up. I don't have to go down. So somebody can say something offensive to you, and you don't have to get your energy drained by it. There's nothing in someone else's words that is has more power over you than your own decision to be your own person and respond any way you choose. Someone can put me down and I can say something nice to them. Someone can give me a compliment and I can go, I don't think so. You know, you can give someone a compliment and they go, oh, this old thing, blah, and they don't feel good about it. Or say you're walking down the street and you're feeling really pretty that day, and some good-looking person, or you're feeling really, handsome that day. It doesn't matter the gender, but some person that you would be attracted to says, hey, you're looking good. And you go, oh, I feel all nice and lifted by it, right? And then, 10 feet later, there's somebody who you're not attracted to, who you're actually maybe a little repulsed by, maybe somebody who smells and, just does not look attractive to you at all. When they go, hey, you look good, you're like, oh, right? They said the exact same thing with maybe even the exact same intention, but one you felt lifted by, and the other you felt offended by, even though they both said the same thing. So your response was dependent on something inside of you. It was on your decision and your choice. It wasn't about what had happened outside of you. So what I'm saying to you is, no matter who is doing the control dramas, they have no power to control you. You get to choose. Okay, now I told you I was going to give you some solutions. And here's the thing that I have found. Over years, what I have found is people who play these dramas in places of business, in time, don't win. There's a quote, I believe it was Martin Luther King Jr., not sure if I remember correctly. He said that the arc of justice, the arc of justice bends towards, what is it? The arc of truth bends towards justice. The arc of history bends towards justice, right? Because the more truth that people see, the more that people are aware of what's really going on, the more people want to be good to each other. So the reason I say that is because in environments where people are doing these control dramas, putting people down, making people wrong, ordering people around, threatening people, all of that stuff, even if they're very subtle, over time, that behavior gets recognized. Not everywhere and all the time, though. If it's a person low on the hierarchical totem pole in the place of business, when that behavior is recognized and the person who's causing the drama is shown to be the person, a lot of times that person will be fired. Like, we don't need this unnecessary drama because it's clogging up our ability to be productive, work together as a team, get something done, and make some money. Okay, because businesses are about making money, and anybody who gets in the way of that will be taken out. However, it's different when the person at the top is doing those things, because the person at the top has all the say. So even if you're someone who recognizes the control dramas and you see that the person at the top is doing these things, in that environment, there's not really a whole lot you can do because you don't have the power to change that person at the top. Often that person at the top will be the downfall of the company because all the minions or whatever below them are going to aspire to be like the person at the top, because the person at the top is the one who's handing out all the prizes and all the payroll and all of that, and they have the say. So they're going to have people around them that are going to want to, if not be like them, because a lot of times when people are being narcissistic and mean, they don't put up with anybody else being narcissistic and mean, but they will put up with people who are sycophants, which means, butt kissers, brown nosers, So if everybody's brown nosing that person at the top who's a narcissist, and then they try to act like them, there's going to be a lot of problems in that company. Communication with customers, communication with employee to employee. There's just going to be a lot if the person at the top is unaware of how they're treating people. Because what happens with these control dramas is they bounce around like a pinball machine. It's like, you've heard the story possibly, the dad who comes home from work and he's pissed off because his boss kicked him around. So he comes home and he kicks his wife around. The wife kicks the kids around. The kids kick the dog. The dog bites the cat. The cat goes out and chases some mice. But it trickles down. Energy draining trickles down from the top to the most vulnerable person. And there's a lot of chaos and a lot of drama. And if there's a person in a leadership position who treats people like crap, there's definitely going to be people under him or her that passes that crappy behavior on. And if you have a person at the top who is not draining, who sees themselves as in service to the people that are causing their prosperity in the world, then that also gets passed around in an environment, and everybody gets uplifted in that environment based on the content of the character of the person at the top. So there's another Martin Luther King Jr. quote, which is, I'm saying something to the effect because I have to paraphrase it to make it contextual for this conversation, that people will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And these controlled dramas are evidence of the content of one's character. And the character of a person is most likely going to be evidenced by their response, not reaction, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, their response to when they're being squeezed, when times are tough, when things are hard. When you get squeezed, how do you treat other people? Wayne Dyer tells a story about when you squeeze an orange, what comes out? Orange juice. Why? Because that's what's in it. So when you get squeezed, what comes out? Is it anger and putting people down and doing harm and being mean? Or when you get squeezed, do you hold your self-dignity and look for solutions to the problems and the situations? The choices you make and what you do, you can either join the drain game and be destructive, or you can look for constructive solutions to what's happening, to raise the energy in the environment, to work like a team, to get everybody where you want to go. Get yourself and everybody else where you want to go. So I know there's a point I wanted to get back to. When you get squeezed, what you do, the decision is within yourself, and the content of your character will be shown by the decisions that you make. So now let's go back to when I said that usually when there's a person that's even subtly draining people, eventually, so I'll tell you, I actually had a situation recently where I noticed where there was a person in this environment who was doing the draining, playing the draining game. It was a subtle level. She just did it to people individually, but she was definitely caught up in it. And as she was doing it, she was going to higher ups in this place, in this company, and complaining to the higher ups that she was being attacked by other people. Even though I recognized that she was subtly attacking other people, and when they automatically reacted to it, that's something else I said I was going to say, the difference between a reaction and a response, because most people are programmed to react to these wrong, ignore, poor me control dramas. So when people were reacting to her subtle drains, she would then escalate and take it to the managers and say, this person is attacking me, right? So a reaction, you can think of it this way. A reaction is an automatic response, really quick, unthinking, right? So if somebody puts you down, a lot of times you'll get angry and you'll put them down back, or you might say, hey, you're an idiot, or, get away from me, I can't stand you, whatever it is, right? So when you react to it, it's just automatic. You're not thinking about it. But when you respond to something, it's a decision that you've made inside yourself. And a response will take you from where you are to where you want to be. Instead of from where you are with this person, a reaction can take you to where they want you to be. Let's say someone wants your job. So they're trying to poke at you to get a reaction so they can get you fired and they can then take over your position. That's you reacting and ending up where they want you to be. But if you're aware inside yourself that you won't let anybody else pull your strings like you're some kind of a puppet, that you have that you have an individual purpose and decision inside yourself to respond, you move yourself to where you want to go. You could say something, you could program yourself to say, no matter what anybody else does, what I do is up to me, and whatever I do is going to take me where I'm going, not where they want me to go. So you could think of reaction and response this way. A doctor gives you medicine, and you call the doctor the next day and you say, hey doctor, my body is having a reaction to the medicine. That's not good. That's probably a rash or some kind of side effect or something like that, right? Reaction, not good. Or you call the doctor the next day and you say, hey Mr. or hey doctor, whoever, my body is responding to the medicine. That means your body is doing what you had planned for it to do. And that's the same way you could think of it when someone's trying to goad you and pull your strings and get you to do something that's going to your behavior is going to put yourself into a bad situation. So reaction, automatic, taking you away from where you want to be. Response, a thoughtful decision, taking you to where you want to be. Now here's the great thing about that. You can program your responses in ahead of time, because people think that a reaction is boom, boom, really fast. It has to happen that fast. But a response can be boom, boom too. If you program it in ahead of time, you don't have to take a long time to think about what your response is going to be. You can program it way ahead of time. Something I heard from Tony Robbins years ago is he said, the time to decide whether you're going to cheat on your spouse is not in the middle of someone seducing you. It's ahead of time. You make that decision ahead of time. And then when someone's seducing you, you already decided. You're either going to say yes or you're going to say no, but you made that decision up ahead of time. So you can have an immediate response. All it means is it's something you decided on that's going to take you where you want to go. Or you can have an immediate reaction where you didn't think about it ahead of time and it's going to take you away from where you want to go. So remember, a reaction is something that you did not decide on and plan on. And a lot of those reactions are programmed in from our childhood. And we just do all this crazy escalation when someone either says something bad about us or makes up something about us. And here's what's kind of ridiculous about that. When someone makes up something about you that you know is not true, why would you waste your time reacting to it? Why would you waste your time even trying to get them to think something different? Why would you waste your time explaining yourself to them over something that doesn't really exist? It's just some crap they made up in their head. If you realize it's just some fog and smoke and nothingness that they pulled out of their butt in order to get you to give them your attention, to get something from you, you don't have to give it a moment's thought. You just keep on moving. Don't stop like the hands of time. Good God, find your own way to stay. Let's see, why do people choose to live their lives this way? Oh, why do they choose to live this? Keep on moving, don't stop now. And that's what you do. You just keep on moving in the direction of your dreams, of your visions, of your goals, where you're going. Don't let people pull your strings with illusions. And you do not have to explain. And when you try to get them to change their mind, it's such a waste of your time, because they're not saying it because they know it's real. They're saying it because they think they're going to get something from you by saying it. So it's to their advantage for you to waste your time trying to get them to change their mind. It's to their advantage for them to not change their mind. Because as long as they don't change their mind about you, they've got you on the hook. If in your mind you think you have to spend your time changing their mind. You remember that old song? I think it was Diana Ross. It said, I'm gonna make you love me. Ooh, yes I will. Yes I will. Guess what? You cannot make anyone love you. Except who? I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. That's right. You got it. You. You can make you love you. If you love you, you're not going to get caught up with someone who doesn't love you, because you realize that basically you're worth more than that, because you already know that you love you. And if you don't know that you love you, start practicing it. And how you love you is you don't drain your own energy, and you don't give attention to people that drain your energy. So let's say you're in a work environment and you have to work with someone, okay? And they're doing all these subtle jabs and jibs and whatever, and you are like, oh, I can't stand it. But if you understand the energy drain game, you actually can stand it. Because what you need to tell yourself is, this person is playing the drain game. Wrong, ignore, poor me, threat. And if they can't get you with one, they'll try another, they'll try another, they'll try another. Now, these drains have partners. Wrong partners with ignore, because if someone's making you wrong, you tend to ignore them. And then poor me and threat go together, because if someone's threatening you, you tend to appeal to their mercy. You don't want to match that threat, because then you've got, major war and conflict, or, a fight. But you go, oh, please don't hurt poor little me. Why would you, treat me this way? So there are reactionary partners in this game. But if you decide not to play the game, and you hold your head up high, and you just give it some time, that person will be found out. So recently, I was telling you about this position I was in, and somebody played this game, and I saw this game. And this person who played the drain game was actually very good at articulating to the managers what a victim she was to everybody else, even though she was the one throwing out the wrong, ignore, poor me, and threat. Okay. Because her threat was, I'm going to go tell the managers. Okay. But here's the thing. If you wait it out and don't get pulled in and don't play the drain game, what you're mostly going to want to do, what you're mostly going to reactively want to do, is stay the heck away from that person. You don't want to hear anything they have to say. But if you're working with someone, sometimes when work needs to get done, you actually have to interact with them. But even though you have to do that, and they're going to try to pull your strings with these 4 energy drainers, if you see them, you can stay focused on what you have to get done. Don't react to any of the energy draining things. Keep moving in the direction you're going, and eventually what's going to happen is that person who needs that reaction in order to feel like they have some power and control over other people, and a lot of times they might not even know it. It's just something they've been doing because they learned it as a child, or their parents did it to them, or whatever. That person eventually is going to get found out. And when they do, you will not have been a part of all the drama. You stayed out of it. Because what I saw with this person in this place I was, the last one I saw, because I've seen it before, that there were a few other people that actually got fired because they were unable to deal with what this person was putting out. But if you can stop yourself from reacting, and I'll tell you how, then you will ride the wave past the trauma, and that person is going to get eventually fired because they don't know how to stop themselves from doing it. It's just something they do, and it will be eventually acknowledged. It's just that if you see it ahead of time, then you won't be part of the collateral damage up to the point where the managers realize where the actual drama was coming from. So, okay, so something that what you can do is remind yourself who you are. Realize that the drain game is an illusion. It's not real. Realize that no one can put you down unless you agree to feel put down. Understand that there is a space between yourself and another person. And in this space right here is the gap of choice. So they say what they say, blah, 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 and then their communication is traveling towards you. Well, you can either open the door to that and let it in, or you can close the door and not let it in. Because the way you can understand it is to say, what's happening over there in that person is in their head. It's not over here with me. It's over there in them. So they can make up whatever the heck they want and live in that. And I'm over here living in whatever the heck it is I'm making up. And then you just make up something that makes you feel good. And there's a story that goes along with this. So this is an old, I believe, old Chinese story maybe. So there's this old man who is, traveling on his way. And there's this guy behind him who's calling him all kinds of names, trying to get him to react. And just making up everything he can to try to press this old man's buttons. And the old man never does anything. He just keeps following him. And then after 2 years of this guy just trying to get his goat in every way possibly he can, and the old guy never does anything, this guy goes up in front of him and says, "Hold it, wait." He goes, "I've been saying everything I can possibly think of to try to make you angry, to try to make you do something against me. And you haven't even given me so much as a sideward glance. How can you possibly do that?" And the old man looks at him and he says, "If I offer you a gift and you refuse to take it, who then gets to keep it?" So if I offer you crap, negative comments, crappy stuff, dirt and grime and ugliness, if I offer you that and you refuse to accept it, I keep it. It started over here with me and it ends with me. So here's the thing. People are walking around in their own little personal hells and they're trying to get you to join them in their hell. They're sending you all these invitations. Come join me in hell. It sucks in here. Come on, come in. I want somebody else to spend time in here with me. Well, if you say, "No, thank you," and go your own way, they're still in their own little personal hell, and you haven't joined them in it. So people can walk around and spread hell, and it's like a domino effect. It just expands, and then all of a sudden everybody's in hell. I'm being mad at each other. And just because somebody made up some crap, you're the enemy, you're the bad one, you're evil, you're the threat, blah, blah, blah. Somebody made it all up in their head. It's not even real. And now everybody's running around in hell because they believe this person, or at least they got their strings pulled, or they tried to prove, it's not me, it's you, you're the one. And now everybody's in hell. But the domino can work the other way too. So people can expand hell, but people can also expand heaven. And here's what I mean. Somebody can try to invite you into their hell, and what you could do is just throw them a little heaven. You look like you're having a bad day today. Are you okay? No? Or, hey, I like your shirt. Did you have a nice weekend? Hey, nice to see you. Whatever. It doesn't have to be real. You don't have to really feel it. And you don't even have to do it. You can just walk away. Yeah, or, you can ignore that person. But ignore is a draining thing too. And the thing is that people who are in hell walk around and they get upset when people ignore them, even though they're putting out all these reasons for people to ignore them. They're like, I don't like when people ignore me. Don't ignore me. Well, don't be so hard to be with if you don't want to be ignored. But you don't really have to ignore people. You can just go, have a nice day. I hope you feel better. Whatever. But so you're sending a little heaven. And when you send a little heaven, that heaven expands. And guess what? If you're in an environment where no one's in hell and everybody's working like a team and they're enjoying each other's company, stuff gets done. It's productive. People are like, hey, take this on your way. And you're like, yeah, I got it. And it's like the warriors at their highest point. They were just working together. It was like a spiritual thing. You feel it. You're uplifted. There's a thing to environments where everybody is working as a team and nobody's putting each other down, and people feel connected to each other and they feel like they want to bring each other up because everybody up brings everybody else up. There's no, like I was a captain of my college basketball team, and so I played basketball for a lot of years, a lot of different games with a lot of different people. And oftentimes you'd have 4 people on the team who just love like passing instantly, no hesitation, and just everything just flowed. You get one person on the team who holds the ball or shoots every time or doesn't pass it to anybody or doesn't trust anybody. That one person messes up the flow of the whole team because people are like hesitating and don't know what to do and mistrusting and don't know if they're going to get the ball. And so one person can really mess up a whole environment unless you have a critical amount of people that understand this game and can move around that person. But if the whole company understands this game, then they can get it at a subtle level and not allow one person to come and bring hell to everybody, mess it up for everybody. Okay, so here's something I used to tell people when I told the story about the old man and the guy who said, how can you possibly do that? And the old man said, if I have a gift and offer it to you and you refuse to take it, who then gets to keep it? People go, that person's in hell, and they're in hell, so great, and they can just stay over there in their hell, and I'll be happy in my own personal heaven. And I tell them, yeah, that's fine, but if you're happy that they're in hell, then I don't know that you're actually really in heaven. So people are in hell for whatever reason they're in hell, and a lot of people these days are in their own personal hells. And it could be, and a lot of people are in their own personal hells, and they're a lot of times trying to find a way to get out, whether it be draining other people, looking for attention, shopping, sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is that people are trying to use to get out of their personal hell. And this energy draining way is just one way to get attention, to get out of their personal hell, because a lot of times it's really all they know. So instead of being glad that they're in hell and wishing more hell upon them, even wishing hell upon someone else can make you feel crappy inside yourself. So maybe having just a little bit of empathy. Now, when I say that, I don't mean you have to fix them or change them or spend your life buying them something or giving your energy and attention to them. Do not let someone who is in hell pull you out of your heaven or pull you off your own way you're going in your life. It's not your job to fix the world. It's someone else's job to fix themselves. But you can shoot them a little energy, because this is just an energy game and it's not real. And you don't have to play the drain game. You can actually play the quick energy game. And the way you play the quick energy game is to do the opposite of the drain game. So when someone makes you wrong, you can make them right. When someone ignores you, you can give them attention. When someone acts like a poor me, you can treat them as if they're confident and capable. And when someone threatens you, you can treat them as if they're safe and welcome. But before you do that, and this is powerful and empowering for you and for everybody else, before you make them right and give them attention and treat them as if they're confident and capable and treat them as if they're safe and welcome, because those are the 4 things that are the opposite of wrong, ignore, poor me, and threat, do it for you. This is huge, and it's so important. Make yourself right. And I'm not talking about right and wrong. I'm saying notice the good things about yourself. Oh, I love your hair. Your teeth look beautiful. I love how you did your makeup today. Your hair looks great. You know, I'm proud of you for taking that action. And you should feel that way, and you should think that way. And that's really good that you're doing that. And I'm happy that you stood up for yourself. And I'm happy that you're getting what you want in your life and being connected to the universe and receiving all the good things that the universe has for you. Whatever it is that you need to tell yourself at this time that you can accept and receive and have it feel good for you. And do this. It's real simple. So find something right about yourself, acknowledge it, and breathe it in. And give you attention. If you feel unsafe, give yourself attention and trust yourself and believe yourself and take care of yourself. Get away from that unsafe situation. Give yourself attention. Give your thoughts attention. Give your insides attention. Take care of the things that whatever it is you're thinking and feeling are asking you for. Meet your own needs. If you feel tired, get some rest. If you feel hungry, eat some healthy food, some nutritious food. If you feel bored, then maybe you can change your environment or change your shirt or change something. If you feel any negative feeling, go inside, ask yourself what it's about, and give yourself the solution so you can feel good and rested. And you've eaten well, and you've taken care of yourself, and you've met your own needs. You do not have to go out into the world and expect everybody else to meet your needs. And as a matter of fact, that's not the way, because a lot of people will use you. And when you're out there looking for validation and you're looking for other people to give you what you need, they can just say no. They can just say you're unworthy, you're not worth it. And if you believe that, and all believing is being and living as if it's already so. If you believe that, then you're not going to get your needs met. You're going to be working on trying to change them, and that's never going to meet your needs. So be and live as if you are the one to meet your needs. And when you have a need, fill it. You fill it. And sometimes you might need another person to help you with that. But if it's like if the sentence looking for love in all the wrong places. If you pick someone who doesn't have the will or the skill or the want to give you that particular need that you're asking of them or you're expecting of them, then you're disappointing yourself by going to that person with an expectation that they're going to give you something that they don't have for you. Whether they have it and don't want to give it to you, or whether they don't have it, or whether they don't know how to give it to you, when you keep expecting something that someone else is not going to give you, you're disappointing yourself. Find another person for that particular need, or meet it yourself. Find a solution yourself. It's not up to someone else to get your needs met. It's up to you to get your needs met. And if you need to include another person in it, go to a person who can meet that need for you, and stop wasting time insisting to get a need met from someone who's not going to give it to you for any reason that they're not going to give it to you. You're not going to get it there. Looking for love in all the wrong places. Go to the right places. Go to where that love is waiting to be given to you. Here's another powerful quote. Whatever it is that you are looking for is looking for you. Whatever it is that you're looking for is looking for you. It's in the universe waiting for you to wake up to it. And what we're mostly looking for, it's not out there. Whatever it is that you're looking for is here. You are the solution to every need that you have, whether it be that you're going to meet it yourself or you're going to choose where and how you're going to get that need met. It's up to you to make those decisions about who to invite into your life and who to move away from. That's up to you. Who to open up to and who to close off to. That's you. You are the solution and you are the one you're looking for. Stop looking for it outside yourself. Look for it in yourself. Find the solutions inside yourself. Okay, so now, right attention, confident and capable, safe and welcome. Okay, so you made yourself right by listening to yourself and understanding and being kind and caring to yourself. You've given yourself attention by paying attention to what your thoughts are, what your needs are, and all that. You've given yourself attention. Now, the opposite of poor me is confident and capable. Regardless of anything that you've accomplished in your life thus far, you are confident and capable. You are a confident person and a capable person. And if you're acting as if you're not, it's just because you're acting. You're just playing a role that you learned to play, that someone taught you is who you are. It's not who you are. You are a confident and capable person. So act like it. Be and live as if it is already so, because it is. You just happen to be acting like it wasn't, but it already is so. Okay, so be and live, believe. Be and live as if it is already so. And then you're walking in it, all right? So you are the solution. Okay, so confident and capable. So you do all these things, right? Attention, confident and capable, and safe and welcome before you go outside, before you go to work, before you get into any environments where you think somebody else is going to do this for you. You got to do it for yourself. Okay, so the last one, instead of threat, safe and welcome. So when you go into an environment, let's say you're going to do a big speech. Instead of like, oh no, they're going to make me wrong. I'm going to be criticized. Say, no, I am safe and I am welcome. They want to hear what I have to say. I am safe and I am welcome. Okay, now, don't be stupid about this. Don't walk down a dark alley at 3 a.m. where there's heroin users and drug people who need money to get their fix and say, I'm safe and welcome, I'm safe and welcome, I'm safe and welcome. That's just dumb. But if you're in an environment where you're creating your own fear when there is nothing to fear, like you feel put on the spot or you have to do some kind of a presentation, that's an environment where you have the opportunity to have a wonderful outcome, to be rewarded for what you're about to do. So don't add a bunch of fear in your head that stops you from doing what you need to do, trusting in yourself, pointing out what's right about yourself inside yourself, giving yourself the attention and meeting your own needs, knowing that you're confident and capable, and knowing that you're safe and welcome in this environment and people want to hear what you have to say. You condition yourself for any environment ahead of time. And then when you show up in that environment, you will be the one who's passing out the heaven and uplifting everybody. And anybody who's draining, you realize it's just an illusion, so you don't get pulled into it. You can keep your high energetic vibration regardless of the environment that you're in. And when you're in an environment that you're consistently in, like a work environment, you will be the one who people will trust, who people will say, hey, good morning, how you doing? Because they know that you're going to do something uplifting back. And even if they're having a bad day, they trust that you're still going to be uplifting, because that's what you always choose to be, because you're already uplifted inside yourself. You've got your needs met. You had a nice rest. You ate some good, healthy food. You don't put yourself down inside yourself. You don't drain your own energy. You've lifted yourself, so you have plenty to give to others. Now, I'll just tell you this. This is when I first learned about this. I was practicing. I was working for a major power company, a major energy company, which is a funny metaphor for this work that I was learning and practicing. And I was talking to people who were very drained over the phone, and angry and draining. And what I did, the process that I did when I got really good at this, is when someone would come on the phone and they'd say, oh, I don't know, I can't pay my bill, I don't want my kids, and I don't want, I just pictured that they were like this conduit that had like this much energy left in their little toe, but the rest was already all drained out before they got to me. So I didn't take it personally. It didn't matter that they were talking like this. Now, that happened somewhere else before they ever got to me. So my job was, I'm just going to listen to what they have to say, because we're talking about money here, and people find it very difficult to make promises to pay money by a certain day. So they're upset and angry and already in a place of desperation. So it's very difficult for them to have a sane, calm conversation when they're already in that state. So I just listened, and I just repeated back what I heard them say with a very understanding voice. Oh, so you don't have the money, and your electricity is going to be shut off, and and I just repeated back to them, acknowledge that I was listening. And I could feel their energy rise through the phone. And oftentimes people would say to me, you're the first person who actually listened to what I had to say. Anyway, so I would actually, on my end, this was part of the process too. While they were going, yeah, yeah, yeah. At the time that I was doing this and I was learning this process, I lived by the ocean, which I love living by the ocean. And one of my favorite things in the whole world is the sun shining on the ocean. And I used to run on the ocean. And I would take in that sunlight, and it just felt so uplifting and good to me. So, how I said I imagined them, that they were a conduit that was drained and had about enough energy in their big toe, just enough to calm me. I imagined myself as a conduit too. But my own conduit, I would picture myself at the ocean with the sun shining. And so my conduit was full to the top. And not only was it full to the top, but all that sunshiny, consistent, always there energy was coming through the ocean, up through me, out to the phone to them, so they can get filled. And then when they realized I was on their side and I was listening to what they had to say, all of a sudden they could calmly make that appointment to pay their bills. And then I'd let them off the phone, and I get to the next person who's drained, and I fill them up, make that thing, and I fill the next person and the next person and the next person. And I just did that all day, and it was easy. I never got drained. These people didn't drain me because my cup was full and running over, so I could give them some of that wonderful, always available to me energy from the ocean. All I had to do was hold it in my mind and realize that this did not drain me. This was filling me regardless of what was happening over here. So that's what I did, and it worked. So that's pretty much it, right? So I hope you got a little bit of information. I know a ton of processes and stuff, because like I said, 40 years of this work, of a lot of what I do is just helping people treat each other with dignity and respect. And, our world right now is having a lot of political issues and people bickering, and it's always been my intention, it may sound surfacey, but to help us get along, and to help us individually get from where we are to where we want to be, and navigate those human possible pitfalls, and powerfully be, I guess you could say, a conduit to really like making the world kind of a better place, at least energy wise. I don't feel the need to put someone down. I point out behaviors that people are doing, wrong, ignore, poor me, and threat, or right, attention, confident, capable, safe, and welcome. I point out those behaviors, but it's not personal. It's just about the behavior. And people who are doing that are doing it because a lot of times that's all they know. That old, I guess Jesus said, forgive them, they know not what they do. They know not what they do. And some people do. Some people are just narcissists who want to take. And again, though, oftentimes it's because of how they were raised and what they learned to do, or what their racket was. Because the racket that people do is the thing they do because they think doing that racket is what's going to get them what they want in life. So all I'm saying is there's better ways You know, your racket could be to be an uplifting person because that gets you where you want to be in your life. And if everybody made that choice, and I'm not saying, you know, everybody has to make that choice or whatever. I'm just saying, if people did, we certainly would enjoy this journey together a lot more than a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing online right now. All the picking and prodding and putting people down because people don't understand how to separate these behaviors from who we are and to see the best in each other and to uplift each other. And all right, I know this is going on long, so I think I've said enough. And that's my own welcome back video back into being here as a conduit to add my own little perspective and point of view and to put it out in the world and, you know, see where it rolls and lands. So I hope you like this video, and if you do, feel free to like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll be making more. So hopefully see you on the next one. All right. Have a wonderful everything.